Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Smib Skincare podcast, which is called Take Back Your Skin With. And today we're taking back our skin with Ollie. He's a friend of mine I've known for the past year, and we're going to discuss some of the problems Ollie's had and faced with his skin and some of his mental thoughts around that over the past few years. And it should be really interesting, and I think we're both looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So I'm going to talk to you a bit about Ollie and how we met. Ollie was on my course this year down in Plymouth, and we've been studying a Masters in Planning and spent the last year together. And how we came to learn about how I could help Ollie a bit, we just talked about the business in general, and Ollie said that he was having a problem or had a problem, and kind of worked it out from there. And again, thank you for joining us, Ollie.
Okay.
I think the first point we'd like to start with is kind of talk us through your story and, say your problems with skin and what that meant for you.
Yeah, so I think I've suffered with mainly eczema most of my life, probably since I was born.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my medical records to do with skin problems affected my hands and my face. And as you briefly said, whilst I'm studying at university, I've still had problems with skin on my hands. Tried all sorts, been to the doctors, been prescribed loads of medicines that not really made any effect. Sort of flares up at times of stress. Just especially at university and secondary school, it reached a point where I just didn't have much confidence in myself, especially when it was on my face. I just was covering up, which made the problems worse. My skin wasn't getting the fresh air it needed. I was sort of blocking it off with my jumper. Getting a bit of stick from friends, teachers as well.
Which isn't very nice.
It's not the very most supportive environment, but yeah.
And how have you seen moving into the world of work as you are at the moment? How more positive do you feel in your skin? I suppose people listening, Ollie has been using our Rebuild serum on his eczema, and it's worked tremendously well for him.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
And he's able to manage his eczema when it can flare up from time to time in a very easy and accessible way. So knowing you've got that kind of confidence now or belief that something that works that helps it, how's that helped you kind of move into the world of work, knowing that you're all right?
Well, it's been a massive help. I think especially with group work, I've always been conscious of my skin, especially it's on the hands. It's kind of you use your hands quite a lot to communicate, like pointing stuff out in group work. It kind of it puts me back. I don't really like to share things. I don't really want people to see my hands because of the state they're in.
Mm-hmm.
So when you've got nice skin and you feel confident in your skin, you're more likely to engage with others.
Yeah.
You can more likely to move your arms around and point at things, and I think it definitely helps, especially with work.
Yeah.
You kind of have to be confident in yourself, confident in your ideas, and that comes with your skin as well.
Oh, cool. Thank you for saying. I think there's another point that I also wanted to cover. Now, you yourself, in terms of cosmetics and using cosmetics, were you ever really kind of a big fan of using them, or did you try a lot to help with your eczema in the first place?
I just usually went to the doctors. I was quite reluctant to go. I went a couple of times and it wasn't really making a difference. My mum was saying, you need to go again, we need to get this sorted. And I was just getting these sort of prescriptions that I had no idea what they were, steroid creams, that kind of thing. And I thought, I don't know what's in these. What's the benefit of taking it? I can't see any benefit. It might help for the 20 minutes. It reduces the irritation, and then it comes back again. And I wasn't really aware of what I was actually using, why I was being prescribed these that supposedly should work. Yeah, and I think I just got a bit fed up and then just thought I had to live with this issue.
Yeah.
It's not something I can deal with, because if the doctors are the professionals, and I really struggled with it.
Right. And from the perspective of natural skincare, and you now have, I suppose, an opportunity to really know everything that's within a cosmetic product, and I think that's where the industry as a whole is going. There's a certain distrust between people now, in some cases, and they're really thinking about what they put on their skin. The use of natural ingredients in skincare, do you think that's the way things could go, or as people want to know more what's in on their skin?
Yeah, it has to be the way forward. I think we've got into this society where we expect big companies, smaller companies even, to act ethically in our own sustainable goals and ambitions. And I think that's the move to natural products is the way forward, and it gives me more confidence in the companies that I'm buying these products from. It shows that they're aware of our surroundings, of our limitations of the planet, and it's just supportive of these things.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're translating that this is what's definitely in the product, that's really important to me. What I'm actually using, because it is touching my skin. It is something that is affecting me. You don't want to put the wrong things. Yeah. And you don't want to do anything that can cause damage or any side effects. So it's important for me to find a product that is transparent in what it uses.
And I suppose what you mentioned earlier, there was like when you were going to the doctors and seeing these people, is there was an expectation that because they were professionals, but they were, I suppose, delivering products for eczema that were from big pharmaceutical companies. Yeah. There was an expectation that it would always work, or definitely. If they couldn't work it out, then no one can, and that was the route to go. So in having a few more avenues, I suppose, to look at to help yourself and help your skin, do you think the widening, I suppose I don't want to say natural skincare market, but the widening amount of people who are focusing on cosmetics could really help alleviate conditions, actually put a bit of pressure on the big pharmaceutical companies?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I've as I said, I've been having these prescriptions for so long, and I think they're just comfortable in that it is working for some people, but I think there are always more avenues to explore. There's always some people who have a slightly different effect. Some people might be affected more mentally as well as physically, and I think that's something that's largely ignored.
Yeah, actually, there's a nice segue there. Moving on to kind of thoughts about skincare and mental health and some of the issues, and then harking back to your kind of confidence issues in your skin. In being in a scenario, so let's pick your secondary school experiences, did that really kind of bring you down in some cases? Did it affect the way you go out and speak to people and engage with people?
Yeah, occasionally. I'm quite positive in the way I work anyway. I was quite happy. I wouldn't say I was down about it. I was completely at a low point. I was just getting on with it. But at points, you kind of felt like, especially when it was on my face, you get people making sort of silly remarks about it, and you kind of think, you just have to move on. But from it, I was quite strong about it. But thinking back, it did probably affect my outlook and what I could actually achieve. I'm not very confident anyway, speaking out in public. But in the classroom, when you've got an issue that's so visible, it kind of stopped me from participating, perhaps. And you're just afraid of the response you might get. Yeah. I mean, most of the time it's probably not going to be as bad as I've had, or people have probably had worse. Yeah. But most people are supportive, can understand.
Good. Yeah. I suppose now that you've kind of used the product that we gave you, this Rebuild Serum, and you've been using it more, and thinking about your stance or use of cosmetics in general, do you think now that you've used a product, I suppose a natural product, that you'd look to use others in other circumstances, for example?
Yeah, I think it's more than just having the natural products. You need to have the background to the product itself, and that's why I'm really keen to test your product. Obviously, I see your background having similar issues, and I think it's the story behind it that you can really sort of relate to, and that's important for me, is to see that someone actually cares about your own plight and the issues that you've been facing.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are in it for the money, perhaps, or in it not necessarily knowing what the actual issues are.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more than just having the natural products. I'll be looking at using the products that have a sort of conscience and an awareness of the wider issues as well. But yeah, natural products as well. It's what I'd be going for.
And do you think that, as I say, that transparency almost between
definitely
the people behind what's happening and the consumer in your case, that's an important message that probably a lot of other companies need to take heed of moving forwards. Particularly, as you say, this is a world where more people now than ever are conscious about whether it's environmental goals, goals in the community, etc. Businesses showing that is important. Do you think that'll actually, not thinking just about skincare here, but a lot of other industries, do you think that's the way things are going?
I think so, definitely. I mean, we're seeing how big the plastics, we were talking about this earlier, how that's suddenly changed people's perceptions on how they shop, how they consume products.
And very quickly,
within the last 3 or 4 months, it's changed rapidly. And I think that's just going to grow and grow. It's going to spread to different areas, different industries, places that you least expect it. Yeah. And I think, skincare's going to get there.
Skincare's one of those as well.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a trend, or do you think that's set to stay? Do you think?
I think it's set to stay. The way it's been sort of publicised and the strides that various organisations are taking, I think it'd be wrong for others not to follow suit.
Yeah.
And I think it will just become set, which is a good thing, and it will evolve as it goes along. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. It's quite interesting to see this. What we were saying, that you were shocked now when you actually receive some plastic. You're thinking this isn't right.
Yeah.
And it's all positive.
Oh, good. Well, I think I was speaking about that earlier. A couple of companies now introducing huge waves of not using plastics and whatnot, and that can only be beneficial for the environment as well. I suppose to round things off, you just explained to hopefully people listening to this what you're doing now and where you're going into the future, and I suppose the confidence you're taking forwards with that.
Yeah, so I'm doing my dissertation now, finishing my master's with you in September. I've just started work, working in Exeter, and it's just confidence that you need to further your career. You need to be confident in yourself, your ability, and for some people it might not be a major issue. They don't really think about your skin, but it's so visual. It's part of you that you are. If you have issues with it, you're more than aware of what the effects might be, and it's a lot more than just your skin looking a bit bad. It's got connotations with it. You're not entirely comfortable. You may not speak, you may not point things out, as I was mentioning earlier. And it's just that those kind of ideas, you need to be confident in your views to be able to further your career. So being confident in myself will help as I grow. And also it's changed my outlook on types of products that I can use. Having more faith in skincare products, because I'm 22. I've had issues since I was a baby and never had anything positive happen with skincare products in the past. So you kind of restores faith that there are people out there who can help.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts.
That's okay.
I think we've covered a couple of things there, and it's just fantastic to have you as our first guest on our podcast series, and hopefully loads of people listen to this and enjoy it, and we'll be moving on soon with another podcast very shortly. So thank you, Ollie, and you've been listening to Take Back Your Skin with Ollie.
Thank you.